लड़ाई, हमको अपोजिशन मत बोलो। हम लोग भी देश का सिटीजन है, हम लोग भी पैट्रियोटिक है, हम भी देशप्रेमिक है, हम भी भारत माता कहते हैं। मणिपुर जलने से हमारा भी आग जलते हैं। बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट कानून ले आएंगे, जो काला कानून। हम लोगों ने एक साथ में मिलके वो काला कानून का खिलाफ में हम लोग लड़ाई करेंगे। हमको खून बहेगा बहने दो, लेकिन हम देश को, जनता को रक्षा करेगा, नहीं तो इंडिया नहीं रहेगा। अगर ये चुनाव में फिर वो लोग आ जाए तानाशाही गवर्नमेंट, तो नेक्स्ट देश में चुनाव ही नहीं होगा।
सभी नेता एक होकर हम आगे चुनाव लड़ने की एक कॉमन एजेंडा तैयार कर रहे हैं और हम 10 या 12 तारीख को फिर हमारे इसमें हिमाचल में शिमला में हम वहाँ फिर मिल रहे हैं। एक होकर, एकजुट होकर 2024 की लड़ाई हमको लड़ना है और बीजेपी को सत्ता से बाहर करने का हम एक तय किए हैं।
हिंदुस्तान की नींव पर आक्रमण हो रहा है, फाउंडेशन पर, इंस्टीट्यूशंस पर, आवाज पर बीजेपी और आरएसएस आक्रमण कर रही है। थोड़ी थोड़ी डिफरेंसेस होंगी, मगर हमने ये निर्णय लिया है कि हम एक साथ काम करेंगे, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के साथ काम करेंगे और जो हमारी विचारधारा है, जिसको हम शेयर करते हैं, उसकी हम रक्षा करेंगे।
Let's cut across right now. Lots of reactions coming in, especially from the Bharatiya Janata Party. My colleague Shashi Bhushan with Sushil Modi. Over to you, Shashi.
बिल्कुल, देखिए हमारे साथ बीजेपी के सांसद सुशील कुमार मोदी जी हैं और सबसे पहली प्रतिक्रिया लेते हैं सुशील जी से। सर, जो बैठक है वो खत्म हो गई, घंटों तक मशक्कत हुई, नतीजा क्या निकलता दिख रहा है कि अब बीजेपी की परेशानी वाकई बढ़ने वाली है?
देखिए, नतीजा तो यही है कि टाइम फिस हो गई बैठक। खोदा पहाड़, निकली चुईया वो भी मरी हुई। क्या निष्कर्ष निकला? शिमला में मिलेंगे, डेट भी संभावित डेट, केवल इतना ही निष्कर्ष निकला। और देखिए, जो सबसे लोग उम्मीद लगाए बैठे थे, खास करके उनके समर्थक, कि प्रधानमंत्री का उम्मीदवार तय होगा, नाम तय होगा। नीतीश कुमार के लोग उम्मीद लगाए बैठे थे कि नीतीश कुमार को कन्वीनर घोषित किया जाएगा। क्या हुआ कन्वीनर का? क्या हुआ प्रधानमंत्री पद के उम्मीदवार का? क्या हुआ मैनिफेस्टो कमेटी क्यों नहीं बनी? कोई किसी को कन्वीनर तक नहीं बनाया। कोऑर्डिनेशन की कोई कमेटी नहीं बैठी, कोई बनी। 1:1 लड़ने की कोई रणनीति नहीं बनी। केवल गुड्डी बात बोल देने से तो कुछ होता नहीं है। आखिर बंगाल के अंदर है और दिल्ली के अंदर क्या हुआ? आखिर अरविंद केजरीवाल क्यों छोड़कर चले गए प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस? अरविंद केजरीवाल क्यों नहीं रहे प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस? दो मुख्यमंत्री अनुपस्थित थे।
All right, let's cut across immediately. I think we've lost that link there with my colleague Shashi. Cutting across to Rajdeep Sardesai, who's joining us for more, and we cut across to our guests after that. Rajdeep, net, what do you make? No Aam Aadmi Party. Aam Aadmi Party very clear. Congress needs to commit on ordinance where Rajya Sabha is concerned. Only then will they come in on the same platform, even if Shimla is concerned. What are your biggest takeaways of what went down today?
You know, Preeti, can there ever be an opposition meeting without some last-minute twist? And the last-minute twist was provided in a way by that AAP statement which came at the end of the meeting and I believe has caught some of the participants in the meeting by surprise, including Nitish Kumar and Rahul Gandhi, who were being shown the AAP statement even as the press conference was going on. So Arvind Kejriwal attended the meeting, didn't walk out of the meeting, but chose to boycott the press conference, thereby sending a signal that all is not well. Yes, the opposition parties, 17 of them were there sitting across a table. Yes, they come from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, but already the first dent in the manner of the statement the AAP has made. So clearly AAP raising the stakes, Preeti. So that's one big takeaway, that clearly the Aam Aadmi Party is not on board at the moment, is pushing the Congress in particular. But I think significantly the fact that the Congress itself has invested enough to actually say that we will host the next meeting in Shimla is another major takeaway. It shows that the Congress is keener than one would have expected in trying to build some kind of a coalition. And I thought it was interesting to see Mamata Banerjee and Sitaram Yechuri barely 5 feet away from each other. I haven't seen them as close to each other in a long time. She even acknowledged Mr. Yechuri. So you never know. In politics, anything is possible. The same Mamata Banerjee will be tomorrow in Bengal campaigning for the Panchayat polls where the left is her opponent. So I think there are a lot of contradictions in this alliance. And the challenge really is how are you going to paper over these contradictions ahead of the Lok Sabha polls? Delhi Dur Ast is the biggest takeaway.
You know, Rajdeep, when you talk about, yes, Arvind Kejriwal missing from it, that entire chapter of the ordinance continues to play out before the second meeting takes place in Shimla. But having said that, in terms of the statements given by Mamata Banerjee, she seemed very positive because she began her statement saying that we will all fight together, we will come together for India. On the other hand, Samajwadi Party, Akhilesh Yadav, a little tepid, seemed bored.
Well, he was the last to speak. And when you have 16 speakers and you're the last to speak, Preeti, you might get a little bored. But I think the interesting aspect was, look, we were looking at 3 or 4 key figures. Rahul Gandhi, Arvind Kejriwal, Mamata Banerjee, Sitaram Yechuri. And I think the one who's turned out to perhaps be the joker in the pack today or turned out to be the X factor is Mr. Kejriwal. He attends the meeting, comes with Bhagwant Mann, gives the impression that he's on board in terms of the desire for a wider alliance. But clearly he and Mr. Kharge, he and Mr. Rahul Gandhi still have a lot of work to do before they can build bridges. So I think significantly to my mind, despite what we saw with Mamata, with Sitaram Yechuri, with Rahul Gandhi, Kejriwal is still not completely on board. And that, in a sense, reflects that from time to time, because they have such local contradictions, can the Delhi Congress get along with AAP? Can the Punjab Congress get along with AAP? The local contradictions, how will you paper over them to carve out this national alliance? It's a huge challenge, and it will really test the likes of Nitish Kumar and Sharad Pawar to keep this going. Yes, they have agreed to another date, but that's not enough.
You know, Rajiv, I'm going to let you go. We're going to join you at 7 o'clock. But one quick question before we let you go. One could only trust somebody like a Lalu Prasad Yadav to come out and make a statement in terms of chiding Rahul Gandhi on his marriage prospects or the lack of it right now. Even saying that Sonia Gandhi complains that he needs to get married.
You know, the best part of that press conference was to listen to Lalu Prasad. He has been, you can like him or not. The fact is he's been one of the most enduring figures in Indian politics. And I recall being in this very road, 1990s, when Lalu was a dominant figure in Bihar. You saw glimpses of that. You know, Lalu's ability to say, पत्रकार जानते हैं कि दाल का भाव क्या हो गया है या सब्जी का दाम क्या हो गया है. He has the ability to somehow or the other bring it down to certain basics. Yes, there was the odd humor at Rahul Gandhi, but that's, that's Lalu for you. The question is, has India moved beyond that? And I think that's what this opposition has to recognize. They're facing Narendra Modi. Mr. Modi is there in America talking technology transfers, talking about taking India into the next century. And you've got the opposition saying, we will defeat Mr. Modi at all costs. They're going to have to find an agenda beyond anti-Modism, Preeti.
All right, Rajdeep, appreciate you joining us. It's a hot, hot day where Patna is concerned. Well, the politics also hotting up as of now. Status quo or a bit of a setback? Well, the opposition, I would reckon, would be largely happy with what has gone down today. There's another date, and that will be in Simla. However, a tentative date on that. We're going to cut across to our guests, but before we do that, with what Rajdeep was also speaking of, that light-hearted moment where Lalu was concerned, witnessed right at the end of the opposition briefing, where Lalu Yadav asked Rahul Gandhi to trim his beard and get married.
बात तो हम लोग का सलाह माने नहीं, बियाह नहीं किया, शादी कर लेना चाहिए था और अभी भी समय गया बीता नहीं है. शादी करिए और हम लोग बाराती चलें और शादी करिए बात मानिए। आपकी मम्मी हमको हाँ, एकदम पक्का करना पड़ेगा। मम्मी आपकी बोलते थे कि आप हमारा बात नहीं मानता, शादी करवाइए आप।
All right, so that was a light-hearted comment by Lalu. We're going to, but a lot of big takeaways as well. And I would reckon the biggest takeaway is right now that Arvind Kejriwal really not on board. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, where there was a chair as well for Arvind Kejriwal, but he decided to leave. He attended the entire meeting, but boycotted the press conference right at the end. And a statement now which has come in from the Aam Aadmi Party, making it clear that the Aam Aadmi Party will only be on the same dais as the Congress if the Congress concedes to supporting the party when it comes down to the issue of the ordinance in Rajya Sabha in this monsoon session. However, the other big takeaways as well, the likes of Mamata Banerjee coming in, stating very clearly that they've decided that they will fight together. So there's a sense of isolation as well, where the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal is concerned. But the other leaders, the other leaders were largely with what we are given to understand by our Aam Aadmi Party sources, with the Aam Aadmi Party trying to urge the Congress to climb down on its stand on the ordinance. Once again, let's connect to Rajdeep Sardesai, who's joining us from the venue of where this press conference took place. Rajdeep, interesting, what are you picking up on what really went down, the fine print of this meeting inside closed doors? Given to understand that a lot of political parties actually tried to play mediator, urging the Congress to climb down on the ordinance. Mamata Banerjee, for one, wanted the ordinance to be a part of the press note which would go out later. However, Rahul Gandhi refused, saying that the party is still consulting and they have a process to follow.
Absolutely, and that's pretty the problem. There were 11 out of at least 11 parties that openly backed Mr. Kejriwal. So a majority of the parties did back him on the ordinance issue. But Mr. Kejriwal's biggest problem lies with the Congress Party at the moment. The Congress Party, post-Karnataka Preeti, appears to believe that they have the momentum, that they can take this momentum into Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, even Rajasthan. And therefore, they would like to call the shots. Now, Mr. Kejriwal, on the other hand, is facing an existential crisis with the ordinance, with some of his key aides being imprisoned. So he wants the Congress to support him in his hour of need. And I don't think the Congress is willing to do that just yet. And I think that really is one of the many friction points that is the immediate friction point, but could end up being one of many such friction points in the months ahead. Because, as I said, there are a lot of regional tangles. Let's take a look at the Panchayat polls. The polls are on 9th of July. They are planning a meeting in a resort in Shimla later next month. How will Mamata Banerjee, Odir Chaudhary of the Congress and Sitaram Yechuri play out these Panchayat polls in Bengal? So as long as local issues get entangled with this idea of a national platform, you will see what happened with the AAP happening to other parties. The fine print clearly shows that there is no consensus on issues like backing the ordinance. The Congress, I maintain, remains the elephant in the room.
Right. But, Rajdeep, going ahead from here, at least with what we saw on the stage there, do you see a certain sense of isolation also for the Aam Aadmi Party now? Because when it comes down, the Aam Aadmi Party will also need to massively climb down on the winter elections in states that it wants to make political forays in, even if it hopes to get that support where the ordinance is in question.
Well, I think the Aam Aadmi Party is ready to do that. I think at the moment, you see, look at how things have changed, Preeti. In 2022, AAP had the momentum post-Punjab. That took them into Gujarat, where they took on the Congress in a way and wanted to replace the Congress as the main opposition party. The Congress accused AAP of being the B team of the BJP. A year later, or 6 months later, in the middle of 2023, it's the Congress which has the momentum post-Karnataka, and it's the AAP which needs the Congress more now. So that's how politics plays out. But unless that's the problem for this alliance, or this so-called alliance that's building up. How can they keep aside their local differences to stitch together a wider coalition? Are they only looking at short-termism, or do they really have a long-term agenda and narrative? And if they don't have one, then I don't know how long this alliance can last.
Right. Rajdeep, do you see that meeting, which is going to be now tentatively in Shimla, because what was made clear that it's a tentative date? Do you see that take place at all? You know, when we began this broadcast, in the middle, it seemed to suggest, okay, there's no breakdown, there's no breakthrough, which is a good thing where this motley crew type of an alliance is concerned. But do you see anything different from that now in terms of what has transpired in the last 45 minutes?
I think it has. I think the AAP has clearly set a marker, and that in a way does put pressure on the remaining allies to try and sort it out before the next meeting in Shimla. I do believe that meeting will take place. Parliament is next month. So, you know, when the ordinance comes out in Parliament, that will be a big test. I don't think the Congress will back out from supporting the AAP on the ordinance. That's the sense I get talking to a number of the leaders, that Mallikarjun Kharge, who's the leader of the party in the Rajya Sabha, is more than open to backing the AAP in the Rajya Sabha, but he doesn't want any preconditions. He's saying, we have come here to stitch together 2024 alliance. Let's not bring local issues as preconditions. Arvind Kejriwal is saying, look, if I don't have the trust, to win my trust, you need to take these steps now. So I think it's a question of sequencing. I do believe that by the time Shimla happens, there will be an attempt made to sort it out. The likes of Mr. Pawar and Nitish Kumar will play that role. But it's a hard grind. This is a marathon, Preeti. This is not going to be a one-day match that overnight suddenly you will have a grand alliance being stitched. That's not happening.
At least, all right, Rajiv, we'll see you at the top of 7. You know, if it is a marathon, which definitely it seems like, starting out on a rather hot note, the temperature soaring where Patna is concerned, but maybe Shimla will be colder climes. Having said that, Maushmi is joining us. Maushmi, give us a minute. Let's quickly cut across to Arshdeep Singh Khadial, who's been waiting for a while. Arshdeep, apologies for keeping you waiting, but the ball where Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned is in the Congress's court. Support the ordinance in Rajya Sabha, and you're talking about at least 20 seats, 13 plus 7, and you could fight it together with the Aam Aadmi Party where Delhi and Punjab are concerned.
Thank you. Kindly allow me a minute and a half uninterrupted. As far as the topic of Delhi ordinance is concerned, the matter for us congressmen is equivalent to being sub judice, because our High Command is deliberating upon that. However, if the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson is here on the debate, I would like to ask a question to them. Why did the Aam Aadmi Party not go to court in June? Because the vacation bench nevertheless sits, and the matters of triple talaq, the matter of NJAC was decided in summer vacations. Number 2, coming to the topic. See, the ideology of the opposition parties is very simple. It is Bharat Jodo. It is against the Bharatiya Janata Party's ideology of Bharat Todo. Now we need to understand one thing, that the Bharatiya Janata Party is, against national interest. It has been realized by everybody. And thanks to the Bharatiya Janata Party's suppression politics, vendetta politics, they have united the entire country against them. They have united all the political parties against themselves. And, I think the House of Cards of the Bharatiya Janata Party had created based upon lies, based upon betrayal, based upon false
But
promises.
Arshdeep Khadial, you might have united the opposition parties. One party is still missing, and that's the Aam Aadmi Party, and the onus lies on the Congress right now, and that at least is what transpired in that meeting. And I want to bring in Maushmi back into this conversation. Maushmi, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, out of the 17 political parties, which include the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party, of the 15, 12 openly supported the Aam Aadmi Party on the issue of ordinance, where the likes of Mamata Banerjee even wanted it part of the press note which goes out to the media where this meeting was concerned. So now the ball clearly in the Congress's court. What's going on there?
Absolutely, Preeti, and here that I had this inkling. I had said yesterday as well that the Congress feels that the Aam Aadmi Party is holding it to gunpoint and asking for a yes or a no. And these pressure tactics don't work if you're talking about building trust and building a relationship for the upcoming polls, as far as the alliances are concerned. And that's what happened. The Congress refused to say a yes or a no. and said we will sort it out on a later date. But my sources tell me that, the Congress in principle has agreed to, in fact, vote against the ordinance and support the Aam Aadmi Party. But it's just the commitment. There is a lot of blood loss between both of them, and perhaps the Congress was not ready to give it so easy to the Aam Aadmi Party. That's why, many leaders refer to the fact that there are many parties who are not here but will join the bandwagon. Nitish Kumar indicated smilingly that there are some leaders who had to leave early because there was a flight. I have a mini scoop for you, Preeti. When I went inside and Arvind Kejriwal's nameplate was hurriedly taken away when he didn't turn up. Remember, we were talking about who's going to sit between Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul Gandhi. But behind, amidst the backbenchers or the second row benchers where Supriya Sule was seated, I saw that Raghav Chadha and Sanjay Singh's nameplate was right there. So Arvind Kejriwal pulled out of the press conference last moment. It's not like MK Stalin, who might have indicated that he has to fly far south and he would like to leave before the presser. But Arvind Kejriwal perhaps was expected in the press conference and didn't turn up. Now perhaps there would be a lot of off-camera and back-channel talks over what has transpired and why did Arvind leave in a huff. But that actually indicates, you've made a start, but there are a lot of maneuvers, lots of positionings and lots of bargaining and lots of bending backwards that needs to be done not only by the regional satraps but also by the Congress party, and that's the reason, the next meeting is not slotted very far away.
Right, true. There's not much time. Moshmi, thank you for joining us. We're going to come back to you on the top of 7. There are reporters getting you the latest, the inside scoops, the back-end deals on what's really going on, who's missing, who walked off in a huff. Where Arvind Kejriwal is concerned, one thing is very clear. The reason he left is attended the meeting but boycotted the press conferences because the Congress refused to commit on the issue of ordinance. The Aam Aadmi Party sources say that we're willing to talk about everything. We're willing to talk about seat sharing where Delhi is concerned, willing to talk about seat sharing where Punjab is concerned, willing to also talk about whether or not the Aam Aadmi Party will make forays into states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, but at least support us when it comes down to the ordinance in Rajya Sabha. Will that happen where the Congress is concerned? We'll see. Not much time. If the meeting in Simla, the second round, is slated to be on the 2nd or the 13th. We'll keep an eye on it. A quick break. Coming up on the other side is a fascinating story, yet tragic. After 4 days of intense search and rescue operations, the 5-member crew on board the submersible Titan have been reported assumed dead.
Trappings of American friendship on full display. America extends its most elevated protocols for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But India means business, no mere optics. The Prime Minister gets down to work with the United States. A huge boost to India's air power, an emphatic statement of a deeper military cooperation. The Indian Air Force will get GE jet engines. The US manufacturer has announced plans to jointly produce F414 engines with the state-owned Hindustan Aeronautics in India. GE Aerospace is a leading provider of jet engines, components and systems for commercial and military aircraft. The company described the deal as a major milestone amidst Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States, a key element in military ties between the two countries.
quality today. In Delhi, 132. In Mumbai, 56. In Kolkata, 25. In Bangalore, 55. In Chennai, 63. In Hyderabad, 6.
I want to touch upon another aspect which you are regarded very highly about is during your career and through your private sector tenure, you emphasize the need for gender neutrality in hiring and for promotion of executives in banks. And so many of your proteges or ICICI Bank employees went on to become chairpersons of very large banking corporations. Did that fill you with a lot of happiness and pride that you set it along the way and so many of them actually were, India had so many women bank chairmen over the last 10 or 15 years?
I am very proud and happy about it. But where I quarrel is I did not do anything on that. I just said that, as I was mentioning, I did not differentiate between man and woman in banking. For me, what mattered is talent. What mattered is merit. And if the gender did not come in the way, I removed the firewall between the genders, and that the rest took care of itself. Because the women were really as strong as men, insofar as professional management is concerned. In some respects, they were better than men also. At one stage in ICICI Bank, it was told that I was sitting and Kamath was sitting next to me in the board. The rest were all women who were sitting there. But it was a very pleasant sight. And that's the way in which the gender neutrality will later come. I read recently something about some criticism about India that only 27% of women have employment and the rest are not employed. So when we talk in terms of the demographic dividend, we are not utilizing 73% of our demographic population. So that is not a very good thing to happen. And so we need to remove a lot of barriers which are preventing women to come up in the any organization. It's not only banking, in any organization for that matter. I think the gender neutrality is a must for success of an organization.
No, it's remarkable to hear that you and Mr. Kamath were sitting in the board with surrounded only by women. It's such a remarkable story. But I also want to ask you on the same strain and I hope you'll humor me. Now, did it strike a bitter note when this whole Chanda Kochar episode happened? Because she was a woman who rose to the top, and then that very unfortunate episode happened. What was your reaction when you read about it and heard about it?
I would rather not comment on that because I think still there is what's known as sub judice. And this is a matter I don't want to discuss in public. Successions take place on the basis of the judgment which we consider to be proper at that particular point of time. And what happens later on is something which we all make mistakes. We could, if it turns out it's a mistake, we have to acknowledge it is a mistake. But we could never have known. In any case, this cannot be a matter of public debate.
Welcome back. Let's cut across right now to Union Minister Smriti Irani speaking.
कभी कल्पना नहीं की होगी कि जिस ममता बंदोपाध्याय के हाथ कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ताओं के खून से सने हैं, वही हाथ एक दिन राहुल जी के सर पर दिखाई देगा। ये कल्पना तो तमिलनाडु की जनता ने भी नहीं की होगी कि जिस डीएमके पार्टी को 1990 के दशक में कांग्रेस के शीर्ष नेतृत्व ने स्वर्गीय राजीव गांधी जी की हत्या में सहयोग देने का आरोप लगाया, एक दिन उसी डीएमके के साथ गांधी खानदान के नेतृत्व में रिश्ते कांग्रेस पार्टी के और मधुर होंगे। राष्ट्र ने देखा ममता जी ने लालू जी के चरण स्पर्श किए, लेकिन लालू जी ना जनता भूली ना निश्चित आप कि कैसे ममता बंदोपाध्याय जी ने आपके खिलाफ आपके दावों की पोल खोलते हुए एक श्वेत पत्र जारी किया था। राष्ट्र यह भी नहीं भूलेगा कि विपक्ष के नेता शरद पवार जी ने सोनिया जी के नेतृत्व पर किस प्रकार की टिप्पणी की थी। मैं विशेष आभार व्यक्त करती हूं कि ममता जी ने अपने उचित भाव तब प्रस्तुत किए जब उन्होंने कहा कि अगर राहुल गांधी विपक्ष के लीडर बन गए तो नरेंद्र मोदी को पुनः 2024 में प्रधानमंत्री बनने से कोई नहीं रोक सकता। स्वार्थ का ये गठबंधन जिसके निशाने पर है हिंदुस्तान, ये राजनीतिक दल जब भी इकट्ठे आए भ्रष्टाचार लाए, परिवारवाद लाए और राष्ट्र की आर्थिक प्रगति को संकुचित करने का अपने संग आरोप लेते आए। Ladies and gentlemen, it is said that wolves hunt in packs. A political pack met in Patna. Their prey is the future of India. It is ironical that Trinamool Congress Party members today witnessed bonhomie between Mamata Bandyopadhyay and that Communist Party, the leadership of which was particularly known for dragging Mamata Bandyopadhyay by her hair especially when she tried to speak for the people of Bengal. It is ironical that the Congress leadership at the center shakes hands with Mamata Bandyopadhyay, the TMC leadership whose hands are sullied by the blood of Congress workers in the state of West Bengal. That it is known in the late 90s, the Congress leadership had accused the DMK leadership of contributing to circumstances that led to the assassination of Shri Rajiv Gandhi. Begs the question, At what cost will the Gandhi family do its politics? While the nation was recently witness to Mamata Bandyopadhyay ji pay reverence to Lalu ji, I'm sure neither the nation nor Lalu ji has forgotten how Mamata Bandyopadhyay presented a white paper describing in detail the incapacities of Lalu ji as a minister in the center. It is interesting that Mamata Bandyopadhyay has been extremely prophetic when she said that if Rahul Gandhi is the leader of the opposition, then it is certain that Narendra Modi will yet again be elected as Prime Minister. Like I said, wolves hunt in pack. The prey today that they have decided will be the future of India. I'll leave the floor open for questions, please.
आसिफ ANI. विपक्ष का बैठक था, अरविंद केजरीवाल गए थे, लेकिन अध्यादेश को लेकर के वो कह रहे कांग्रेस साथ नहीं देती तो हम आगे से किसी भी बैठक में नहीं आएंगे। उसी के साथ एक जुड़ता हुआ प्रश्न है कि महबूबा मुफ्ती कह रही कि जो देश 370 जम्मू एंड कश्मीर से हटाओ, आगे देश में भी इसी तरह से कुछ हो सकता है।
आपके दो प्रश्न हैं, दोनों का अलग अलग जवाब है। आम आदमी पार्टी का गठबंधन की शुरुआत में ही गठबंधन को पॉलिटिकली ब्लैकमेल करना इस बात का संकेत है कि इस अनहोली अलायंस के साथ क्या पॉलिटिकल अनहोनी होने वाली है। जहां तक महबूबा मुफ्ती जी का सवाल है, श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी को स्पष्ट करना होगा कि क्या श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी और उनका परिवार पुनः भारत का विभाजन चाहता है।
यतीन्द्र टीवी 18।
मेरा एक सवाल है, जब प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रही थी और सीताराम येचुरी का नंबर आया तो ममता बनर्जी उनके बोलने की वजह से नाराज दिखाई थी और उनके बोलने से पहले वो पीसी छोड़कर चली गई। दूसरा सवाल एक है कि लालू प्रसाद यादव ने राहुल गांधी के ऊपर बोला कि उनको
Press conference by BJP Minister Smriti Irani taking on what was the Mahagathbandhan meet in Patna. With that, I'm going to go into a quick break. To stay with us right on the top of 6 p.m. My colleague Akshita with the top story of Prime Minister Modi becoming the first Indian Prime Minister to address the joint meeting of the US Congress twice. That's coming up next. Stay with us.
Day one of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Washington DC was all about Desh Bhakti, delectable delicacies with the Bidens and Desi diaspora dhamaka. Modi arrived at the Joint Base Andrews in Washington DC, where he was given a ceremonial guard of honor in heavy rains. The Prime Minister, who was wearing a raincoat, stood throughout in rapt attention for the national anthems of the two countries, unmindful of the torrential rains. From the airport, Modi travelled to the hotel where large and boisterous Indian diaspora members were waiting for him. the Indian American community staged cultural programs including Garba and folk dance outside the hotel in Washington, D.C., where Modi is staying. In his first public interaction in the US Capitol, Modi and US First Lady Jill Biden then visited the National Science Federation and interacted with students.
Powered by Voltas Pure Air 6-stage adjustable AC. Ajio Big Bold Sale.
Prime Minister Modi shuts down dying democracy rant. Sharpest pushback against propaganda. Asked on Minority Report, Modi's fiery reply.
What steps are you and your government willing to take to improve the rights of Muslims and other minorities in your country and to uphold free speech?
भारत और अमेरिका दोनों के डीएनए में लोकतंत्र है।
Modi rose, रग रग में डेमोक्रेसी।
Hello and good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and over the next 1 hour, we're focusing on all the big highlights, all the big takeaways from the Prime Minister's visit to America so far. The big headline-grabbing moment was, of course, his address at the US Congress, as well as his response to a media question about minority rights, human rights being snatched in India, and that entire narrative. We'll get you all the reactions coming in on that, and also keep a focus on what you can expect over the next few hours, the final leg of the Prime Minister's America visit. First, as always, let's begin with the headlines. Mega opposition meet concludes in Patna. 15 political parties decide to fight against Modi together, but no consensus or post of convener. Round 2 of discussions in Shimla next in August. AAP fumes at Congress over Ordinance war, says it should decide whether it's with the BJP or against it. Kejriwal skips the joint opposition press briefing. AIMIM chief Owaisi's big attack on Nitish asks, where was Nitish in 2002 Gujarat genocide? Says opposition will end up helping Modi in 2024. BJP hits out at opposition Gathbandhan meet in Patna. Smriti Irani calls it a selfish alliance. Says India's future is opposition's target. Prime Minister Modi attends the all-important state dinner with President Biden, and First Lady Jill Biden raises a toast to India-US friendship. And after a 5-day intensive hunt in the Atlantic Ocean, all 5 civilians on board Ocean Gate's Titanic submersible declared dead. So as we focus on the Prime Minister's visit to America, and day 2 particularly was a full-on power-packed agenda, let's tell you what to expect in the hours to come. Again, through the night, the Prime Minister is going to be busy, at least Indian Standard Time. Let's tell you what's on the itinerary going forward. Well, at about 10 p.m. this evening, you can expect that there will be India-US high-tech handshake event. Now, this is where tech companies will be coming together. This event will happen at the White House. That will be followed by a luncheon, a State Department luncheon, where representatives, all the officials who've been part of the Indian contingent will also be a part of that particular lunch. Now, after that, there will be a series of business meetings also that will take place. Remember, we've already seen some business huddles peppered along the Prime Minister's schedule in the last few days. You can expect more of that between 2:45 to 3:45 in the morning. And then the big one, the community event at the Ronald Reagan Center, which will kick off at 4 a.m. Indian Standard Time. The Prime Minister is expected to be there somewhere between 4:30 to 5 in the morning, and he's going to be addressing the Indian diaspora. Hours later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be leaving from America after what has been deemed as a hugely successful tour and a successful visit. At 9:40 a.m. tomorrow morning, he will be departing from America, not coming back home just yet. He's going to be heading to Cairo in Egypt. But what's happened so far as the Prime Minister's America visit is concerned? In the last 24 hours, there have been crucial takeaways and developments that have happened. In case you've missed them, let's get you some of the most eye-catching moments. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's almost an hour-long address to the joint session of US Congress clearly left a lasting impression. Congressmen filled the hall. In fact, there were chants of Modi, Modi, with 15 standing ovations and 79 applauses. The chants came from the galleries filled with Indian Americans. The Prime Minister's address was also attended by the Indian diaspora, and they were seen chanting slogans throughout the Prime Minister's speech, as you can hear them. It wasn't just, however, the Indian diaspora that was supremely excited. Prime Minister Modi was seen signing autographs for some of the members of US Congress. The senators were queuing up to get a signed copy of the Prime Minister's speech. Members of the US Congress also flanked Prime Minister Modi to click a selfie with him. And the Prime Minister was seen graciously heeding to every selfie request, spending almost 15 minutes after his speech heeding to every request. The iconic Empire State Building in New York was, in fact, lit up in the tricolor during the Prime Minister's visit. And the Empire State Building was shining bright in the colors of the Indian national flag. Let's first get you details of what played out in the US Congress address. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now the first Indian Prime Minister to have addressed the joint meeting of the US Congress twice. In his hour-long address to the US Congress, Prime Minister Modi touched upon various topics. He spoke about climate change. He spoke about Indian economy, the growth, the boom we've been seeing, women empowerment, terrorism. He spoke about the Indo-Pacific, the Quad's power, and amid all of that, also threw in a number of jokes that had the House in laughs. Let's get you all the details in our next report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic second address to the US Congress. The Prime Minister walked into loud cheer and applause as lawmakers welcomed him. Flanked by US Vice President Kamala Harris, the Prime Minister received a rock star welcome. Lawmakers stood up and applauded as he walked up to the podium to deliver his address. Chants of Modi Modi from members of the Indian American lawmakers and members of the Indian diaspora reverberated the Grand House chamber at the US Capitol.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
In a scathing attack on Pakistan, Prime Minister reiterated that there can be no double standards in dealing with terror. He called on the world to act against state sponsors of terror.
More than 2 decades after 9/11 and more than a decade after 26th 11 in Mumbai, radicalism and terrorism still remain a pressing danger for the whole world. We must overcome all such forces sponsoring and exporting terror.
Prime Minister Modi also referred to China amid its aggressive military maneuvering in the strategically vital Indo-Pacific region.
The dark clouds of coercion and confrontation are casting their shadow in the Indo-Pacific. The stability of the region has become one of the central concerns of our partnership. We share a vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. We also remember,
noting that the Ukraine
many
conflict
others
is causing great pain in the region,
work
Modi
for
said that this is
liberty,
not an era of war,
equality,
once again appealing for dialogue
and
and diplomacy.
this is not an era of war. But it is one of dialogue and diplomacy. And we all must do what we can to stop the bloodshed and human suffering.
Modi paid rich tribute to the Indian-American community's success and cited
Every
Vice President
100
Kamala
miles.
Harris as a glowing example.
There are millions here who have roots in India. Some of them sit proudly in this chamber. And there is one behind me who
Prime Minister Modi also hailed woman power and said that they will lead the world towards a better future.
women's sages composed many verses in these Vedas. And today, in modern India, women are leading us to a better future.
Modi sang a couplet written by him to stress India's steely resolve in the global arena.
आसमान में सिर उठाकर घने बादलों को चीरकर रोशनी का संकल्प ले अभी तो सूरज उगा है.
Modi received 15 standing ovations and 79 applauses during his hour-long speech.
I think more than anything, you talk about the future and the future alliance between the United States and India, how great that's going to be. And it was a very moving speech.
The message from the Prime Minister is very positive and very exciting to see the relationship between the United States and India.
God bless America. Jai Hind. Long live India-US friendship. Thank you.
Amid Modi and Bharat Mata Ki Jai chants, the Prime Minister was mobbed for selfies and autographs both by US lawmakers and Indian Americans. With Rahul Gandhi and Geeta Mohan in Washington, D.C., Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's take this across now to our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan. She's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Geeta, it's been, of course, a fully packed meeting and visit for the Prime Minister, which means it's been packed for you too, while covering the Prime Minister's different schedules. But what's expected now going forward in the hours to come? What to you is going to be the biggest highlight of the events lined up?
Well, a very important business engagement. There's a high-tech handshake that is going to take place. No access there. There's going to be a pool spray, which means official media will go in, take photo ops, and come out. Then he has some very important meetings with the top CEOs of the country, followed by his address to an event organized by USISTF. That's going to be a very interesting one at the Kennedy Center, where there are about 900 to 1,000 delegates who would be there to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the vision of an economic future for India and the United States of America. And finally, before he leaves for Cairo, Egypt, he is going to do what he does in every visit of his, which is engage the Indian diaspora. That's going to happen at a place called the Ronald Reagan Center, right across his own hotel, Hotel Willard. And there, like in the past, when we've had a huge...
Okay, apologies. We'll reconnect with Geeta in just a bit. She has been getting us details really of what's expected now going forward in the Prime Minister's visit, the last day of his America tour, and lots lined up once again. We'll continue tracking that and continue also getting you the highlights on the other side of a short break. What played out at the state dinner at the White House? That's what we'll tell you after this short break. Stay with us.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi chose traditional Hindu culture of Das Danam for an octogenarian who has witnessed 1,000 full moons as his gift concept for the US President Joe Biden. In a sandalwood box handcrafted by a master craftsman from Jaipur, 10 different objects of Das Danam were aesthetically placed. The sandalwood for the box was sourced from Mysore and had intricately carved flora and fauna patterns. For the Das Danam, Bhu Danam or land donation is an important gift. Sandalwood was offered in place of Bhutan. In fact, each item of this gift box is handcrafted from different parts of India. There was a silver idol of Ganesha, the Hindu deity considered as the destroyer of obstacles and the one who is worshipped first among all gods. It's handcrafted by a family of 5th generation silversmiths of Kolkata. A diya or oil lamp occupies a sacred space in every Hindu household. The silver diya in the box has also been handcrafted by artisans from the family of 5th generation silversmiths in Kolkata. A delicately handcrafted silver coconut by the skilled artisans of West Bengal was offered in place of a cow for Godan. Til or white sesame seeds sourced from Tamil Nadu offered for Tildan. Handcrafted in Rajasthan, this 24-carat pure and hallmarked gold coin is offered as Hiranyadan or donation of gold. Ghee or clarified butter sourced from Punjab is offered for Achiyadan. A hand-woven textured tushar silk cloth sourced from Jharkhand symbolized Vastradan. Long-grained rice sourced from Uttarakhand are offered for Dhanyadan or donation of food grains. As Gurdan, jaggery sourced from Maharashtra was offered. A 99.5% pure and hallmarked silver coin, aesthetically crafted by Rajasthan artisans, was offered as Ropyadan or donation of silver. Lavan or salt from Gujarat made for Lavandan or donation of salt. All these gift items were placed on the copper plate or the Tamrapatra sourced from Uttar Pradesh. A shloka has been inscribed on it. In ancient times, Tamrapatra was widely used as a medium for writing and record keeping. Other than this, the Prime Minister also gifted President Biden a copy of the first edition print of the 10 Principal Upanishads published by Faber and Faber Limited of London and printed at the University Press, Glasgow. It was one of the final works of W.B. Yeats.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome back. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime and we're getting you all the highlights of the Prime Minister's visit to America so far. In Washington, D.C., after he addressed a joint sitting of the U.S. Congress, the first couple of America, the Bidens, held an extravagant historic state dinner for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This was at the White House. 400 dignified guests from all walks of life were invited. Interestingly, Prime Minister Modi and Biden also raised a toast with ginger ale to the successful meeting that happened between them. They toasted to future India-US ties, and very interestingly, President Biden also cracked a joke or two about raising a toast with a non-alcoholic drink. Let's take a look at that.
It was all pomp and grand at the White House in honor of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The USA reserves this special treatment for its closest allies. The titans of business, fashion, entertainment and more, with the likes of designer Ralph Lauren, filmmaker M. Night Shyamalan, rubbing shoulders with tech leaders from Apple, Google and Microsoft in a state dinner hosted by the first couple of USA, where the who's who of American politics stood in attendance while India was celebrated and honored.
Welcome to Prime Minister Modi's Washington home. I've been doing it. Please have a seat. I've been doing this a long time, but I don't ever remember anybody getting a warmer welcome than this man right here. Good evening, everyone. 20 years ago, as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, I made clear that the United States and India grew to be the closest friends and partners in the world would be a safer place. I believe that even more today, now that I'm president.
कल शाम आपने अपने घर के दरवाजे मेरे लिए खोले। स्पेशल जेस्चर के लिए आपकी मित्रता और गर्मजोशी भरे आदर सत्कार के लिए भी मैं आपका हृदय से बहुत-बहुत आभारी हूं।
But before this grand dinner, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held high-level talks with US President Joe Biden at the Oval Office on not-so-comfortable issues like differences over human rights and India's stance on Russia's war in Ukraine. At the dinner party, bilateral ties and friendship were toasted to with no alcohol.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your partnership and your friendship. And to all, please join me in a toast. Mr. Prime Minister, I had an Irish grandfather named Ambrose Finnegan, and he used to say that when you give a toast and you don't have any alcohol in your glass, you must do it with your left hand. You think I'm kidding? I'm not.
Prime Minister Modi quipped with his own rejoinder.
मैंने देखा है कि आपकी मेहमान नवाजी से प्रभावित होकर कई बार आपके मेहमान गाना भी गाने लगते हैं। काश मुझ में भी गाने की कला होती तो मैं भी आपको कुछ सुनाता।
Not particularly known for his humor, but the Indian Prime Minister's comment hit home. He was referring to South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol, who surprised guests when he got up on stage during a White House state dinner, honoring him in April, and belted out a rendition of American Pie, one of his favorite songs, to raucous applause.
Something touched me deep inside the day. Wow. The music died.
On Thursday, the honorable state guest on his second state dinner at the White House praised India and USA's deepening bond as the Bidens held an extravaganza, a historic state dinner.
And may we always remember that it's our people that give our partnership strength. From all the backgrounds and beliefs, they inspire us, challenge us, tell us the truth, and push us forward. They're the reason our democracies endure, evolve, reflect, and renew generation after generation.
जैसे जैसे समय गुजर रहा है हमारे लोगों में और एक दूसरे के प्रति समझ और बढ़ रही है, एक दूसरे के नामों का सही उच्चारण कर पाते हैं, एक दूसरे के एक्सेंट को समझ पाते हैं। भारत में बच्चे हैलोवीन पर स्पाइडरमैन बनते हैं और अमेरिका के युवा नाटू नाटू पर डांस करते हैं।
The 400 distinguished guests dined on a plant-based menu of millet and corn salad, portobello mushrooms, and strawberry shortcake, catering to the Indian Prime Minister's vegetarian tastes.
Toast to our partnership, to our people, to the possibilities that lie ahead, to two great friends, two great nations, and two great powers. Cheers.
A toast to our wonderful hosts, President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden. A toast to good health, prosperity, and the pursuit of happiness, to liberty, equality, and fraternity, and to the everlasting bonds of friendship between India and the United States. Cheers.
Cheers.
Indian national flower, the lotus, was visible throughout the pavilion, along with saffron-hued floral arrangements that differed from table to table at the south lawn of the White House, as the most powerful head of state of the world admired and showed respect to the growing, most powerful head of state from Asia. It was an evening of dazzling brilliance of India on Uncle Sam's soil.
And that report gives you a sense of the kind of warmth that Prime Minister Modi has received from the Bidens, with President Biden even starting off his toast by saying welcome to Prime Minister Modi's Washington home. On the other side of a short break on 6 p.m. Prime, we're going to put the spotlight on a comment made by the Prime Minister that's triggered a political showdown here in India. There was a question asked to Prime Minister Modi about whether democracy is dead in India. We'll tell you what his response was in just a minute.
हमने सिद्ध किया है डेमोक्रेसी कैन डिलीवर, और जब मैं डिलीवर कहता हूं तब कास्ट, क्रीड, रिलीजन, जेंडर, किसी भी भेदभाव को
People often donate heart and eyes, but now you can also donate your skin. North India's first skin bank is ready in Delhi's Safdarjung Hospital. Eligible deceased donors can donate skin and give someone a new lease of life. Burn victims can immensely benefit from these skin banks for their graft surgeries.
स्किन बैंकिंग में ये खास बात है कि इसमें कोई मैचिंग की जरूरत नहीं है। कोई भी पेशेंट स्किन डोनेट कर सकता है। उस मरीज की, उस डिजीज़ की दी हुई स्किन किसी भी दूसरे मरीज में इस्तेमाल हो सकती है। ना कोई ब्लड ग्रुपिंग मैचिंग चाहिए, ना कोई और HLA मैचिंग चाहिए। और जिसमें ये स्किन हमने लगाई है उसको जीवन में कोई स्टेरॉयड और इम्यूनोसप्रेसेंट्स खाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है।
Safdarjung Hospital authorities are also doing everything they can to make people aware about skin donation. With the help of specialized equipment and proven techniques, donated skin is processed and stored in bank before transplantation.
इतने सारे वार्ड्स हैं जो भी नए डॉक्टर्स ज्वाइन करते हैं, जूनियर रेजिडेंट्स हैं, वो ज्वाइन करते हैं तो उनको सेमिनार्स लेके, उनको इन्फॉर्म करके उनको बताया जाएगा। डेथ फॉर्म है, जब हम लोग उसको साइन करते हैं तो उसमें भी हम सोच सकते हैं कि हम उसमें भी ऐड करा दें कि हम आई डोनेशन के लिए विलिंग हैं और स्किन डोनेशन के लिए विलिंग हैं।
As of now, there are 16 skin banks across the country, and here's hoping that this latest center in Delhi opens the doors for many more such skin banks in India. With Neetu Jha, Bureau Report, India Today.
Staying healthy in the summer involves knowing how to avoid sun poisoning and sunburn. Safe and healthy eating and drinking practices are included. We're telling you exactly what the most common mistakes in summers are and how you can avoid them. Though it may be tempting to enjoy the summer months outside, it's important to not overstay your welcome in the hot summer sun. Doing so can increase the risk of sunburn, sun poisoning and skin cancer. Here are things you must keep in mind before you use a sunscreen. Adults should wear a sunscreen with no less than an SPF 15. Sunscreens should also be broad spectrum. This means they have the ability to protect against both ultraviolet A or UVA and ultraviolet B or UVB. UVA is what makes the skin age and UVB is what burns the skin. But if you do end up with a sunburn, do not use ice cubes. Sunburns can react to extreme cold. Do this instead. Putting a cold, damp towel on the skin for 10 to 15 minutes a few times each day. Applying a moisturizer with aloe vera or soy. Drinking extra water, leaving blisters alone. Sunglasses do much more than complement style during sunny days. Look for sunglasses that block out 99 to 100% of both UVA and UVB radiation. Lessen the risk of foodborne illnesses by keeping hands washed and cleaning prep surfaces and appliances. Cook and hold meats to their proper internal temperature as well. The anti-inflammatory properties of the following foods may act as a natural defense against the sun and sunburns. Berries, tomatoes, carrots, salad greens, fatty fish such as salmon, almond, green tea.
The diet which is high fiber diet and which have a high water content, for example green leafy vegetables, they have a high water content. You can eat watermelon in this summer. You can drink lot of fluids like coconut water is very important. Its potassium is a rich source of potassium. Potassium is very important for your muscles, and heat cramps most of the times when happen, it is all because of potassium and sodium loss from the body. So all these precautions you have to take this summer.
In New Delhi, Sneha Murdani for India Today.
Welcome back. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime and we're recapping for you some of the big moments of the Prime Minister's visit to America so far. One that's made headlines is the Prime Minister answering questions from reporters soon after the bilateral yesterday. He was asked particularly by a Wall Street Journal reporter about reported human rights concerns in India. The Prime Minister's message was clear. He said democracy runs in our DNA, democracy runs in our veins, and that there's absolutely no space for discrimination.
As you stand here in the east room of the White House, where so many world leaders have made commitments to protecting democracy, what steps are you and your government willing to take to improve the rights of Muslims and other minorities in your country and to uphold free speech?
मुझे आश्चर्य हो रहा है कि आप कह रहे हैं कि लोग कहते हैं नहीं, भारत डेमोक्रेसी है.
Asked on India's democratic credentials and rights of Muslims, the Prime Minister made an emphatic answer at the joint briefing with President Joe Biden. Prime Minister Modi was answering to Wall Street journalist Sabrina Siddiqui. The Prime Minister's body language said